Hello and welcome everyone to Freedom, Not Tyranny. I'm your host, David Torres. This is a show about you, about your rights, your freedom. A different show. A show about big government versus little government. A show about your Second Amendment rights. A show about your freedom, your rights to vote. A show that involves how to keep yourself independent. Your rights to do what you feel is necessary for you and your family. This is what this show is all about. I hope you enjoy it. Freedom, not tyranny. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Freedom, Not Tyranny. I'm your host, David Torres. I want to apologize for the late start today. My fault. We had a couple issues we had to address prior to it. And, of course, I had to make sure that I was wearing my Eagles shirt because, as everybody out there knows, and you guys could suck it up and complain and cry, but Philadelphia Eagles are the only undefeated team in the NFL. We're it. We're number one. We know there's a lot of hate out there. It's okay. Don't worry about it, Dallas fan. Don't worry about it, New York. Don't worry about it, Washington. For that sake, we're waiting for Baltimore. But, we know you haters are out there. But it doesn't matter. We are number one. That's all you have to remember. We're number one, and you guys are not. Go Eagles. All right, we're going to get ready to get started today. And before that, I need to remind everybody, we're 28 days away. 28 days away from the November elections. And it is so important that for the next few shows, and we may even, the producers is actually thinking about increasing, because we were going to wait for a little bit to increase our weekly, once a week to 2 times a week, and therefore, but we may increase it depending on what's going on. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is to go to always keeping track of Freedom, Not Tyranny. Subscribe to Freedom, Not Tyranny, because we're going to be talking within the next 28 days. Here's what needs to be the importance of November election. We need to forget this Democrat and Republican issue, okay? We need to stop thinking two parties, and we need to start thinking what's happening, okay? And that's why the next few episodes that you're going to have, and even if we want specials and increase, it's going to be covering a lot of the politics because, if and I hope and I pray to God that the Republicans take the House and the Senate, okay, we need to make sure that the Republicans don't put their tail between their legs and decide to just, we won, so we're just going to do the minimum to keep everybody happy, okay? Minimum don't work no more. And if the Democrats are out here and they're winning or they got any momentum, we need to get every one of these politicians, Democrat or Republicans, independent, on one page, and that's America's page. Nobody else's. America first, because you know what? We're giving to anybody, everybody out there. I want you to tell you something. We give to every country that we can to help, right? When was the last time you heard of a country giving us something other than China giving us COVID-19, other than Mexico delivering fentanyl, killing 300 people a day in our community, poisoning our children, our crime going up, by people who ain't supposed to be in this country? We got enough issues here because we're letting people go out so fast that it's pathetic. All right? So, put all that aside, we need to start taking care of home, and then we can take care of everybody else. We're a very giving and loving and caring and Christian country. But we cannot be that way if we don't stop, put on the brakes, and do something about the federal government, do something about these idiots out there who prefer to close churches down, but have transvestite shows going all over the streets. All right? I mean, you want to be whatever you want to be, that's fine. But I don't want it in my face, and I don't want it in my kid's face. That's all there's to it. Like it or not, tough, life's a bitch. All right, my name is David Torres, and if you didn't like my statement and my opening statement, I really don't care. It ain't going to make me a difference either way around, whether you like it or not. So, what do we got today, Dan? We're talking about crime in Philadelphia. Oh, my God. Look at the stats of these crimes. This is how much has gone up. New York City, 31%. Philadelphia, 25.27%. Chicago, 32%. And the last one, I believe, is Illinois. Is that right? What's the last one? New Orleans.
Yes.
New Orleans, 7.3. I barely could see it on my end of the screen. All right,
correct.
but, let's be real. Every democratic city has got issues. Crime is going berserk. And why is crime going berserk? We got serious issues. We got the DA with issues. We got Bozo Biden up there who doesn't know what he's doing, shaking hands with spirits. And you got the Democratic Party running amok. And then you got the sleeping Republican Party who's just deciding we're going to play issues to, the crime and the surge in government and the price of gas. All these clowns in Washington. Okay, the Democratic Party is pathetic. Okay, they're in a basket. Like we're in a basket of deplorables as Republicans. They're in a basket of pathetic. Their basket is the basket of pathetic. Stupid, pathetic, ignorant people. Okay?
Well, their agenda is not realistic.
Well, they don't have an agenda. Their agenda is how do we destroy the United States of America?
Well, they're picking topics that are not important to the American public.
Well, they are picking they're picking these topics that don't apply, but it's also topics that for the pathetic ones on the other side really don't care. They don't understand. They don't want to hear anything. It's their way or no way. Well, guess what? It's their way, and I'm going to say it to you now. I don't care if that's your way. I'll respect your space as long as you respect mine. And if you don't respect mine, I'll put you in your place. Because you're going to respect me or you're not going to get respect. That's all there's to it. All right? You want to run around with a tube top on and men with mustache and mini skirts on, that's fine. But you're not doing it in front of my kids. All right? You're not going to tell my kids how they have to dress. You're not going to change the name of Bob to Betty. You're not going to change John into Jackie. You're a teacher. You're not a parent.
Well, that's where they crossed the line. That's exactly where they crossed the line when they started teaching our kids because of their agenda.
Yeah, with their agenda. Mm-hmm. But it's not my agenda. It's not my agenda because I can make sure, I can guarantee you, if you're a man and you're thinking you're going to influence my kid and your philosophies of being gay, I'm going to respect your space. But if you're going into my kid's face, then you're not respecting my space. And then Y chromosomes of yours are going to come out real fast when I put my foot up your ass. All of a sudden, that little it's going to turn out to, whoa, what are you doing? That deep voice is going to come out. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. So stay out of my, as soon as they say, David Torres related to me, you can say, okay, I don't want this kid in my class. I don't have a problem with it. All right, so let's go on with the crime that's happening out here. If you see the number of rise, Philadelphia's crime alone, the murders have hit 416.
That's homicides.
Oh,
And the
man.
shooting incidents is 3,288.
3,288 shootings. This weekend alone, we had a 14-year-old child shot in the face, died at the hospital. Shot in the face. How tragic is that? What could have this 14-year-old kid walk into his friend's house or to his grandmother's house or minding his own business, whatever he was doing, what could he have done so bad that you had to shoot him like that?
The crime is getting out of hand.
Crime is getting out of hand because there's no price to pay. There's no price to pay because the losers, that basket of losers in the Republican Party are disgraceful.
Well, the DAs have their agenda of releasing a whole bunch of people from the prisons, and this is the consequences of doing all that.
Well, it's the consequences of they can go in and rob something. They can take whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. The parents are too busy, I don't know, doing what. And their 14, 15, 16-year-old kids are running the street with guns in their hands. And then if you shoot them, it's police brutality. It's racism if you're not a cop. It's hate, hate crime.
Well,
But you know what? The criminals are doing it to us. Where's the hate crime on us when they rob and shoot us? Where's the hate crime? I had a friend of mine who told me that a lawyer friend of his was coming out of a bar in Center City and got robbed. Mm-hmm. Okay? Robbed. I have a friend of mine who, a distant friend of ours, I didn't know him that much, got killed on Broad and Vine.
Yeah.
A three-car accident. The guy jumps out the car, doesn't like the idea, shoots the other two drivers, gets in his car and leaves.
Yep.
There's no punishment for the crime anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had the people that were talking about defund the police, now are calling for the police because of all the violence. People know that they can get away with this, and then they start getting away with it, and now here we are today.
This is why November is so important, because we cannot accept anymore what's happened in this country. We cannot accept anymore that we went from completely independent, energy independent, to now we're in a crisis. We can't accept anymore, the lies from the Democratic Party. That basket of pure, ignorant people has to stop. They're destroying this country. Look at the violence, crime, hit and runs, crossing Philadelphia. It's all over Philadelphia, the crimes that are happening to
I
us.
have a friend that he had his car parked, and right next to the gas tank, there's a bullet hole because of a shootout that happened in his block.
There you go.
I had a politician friend, Mr. Drew Murray, and he caught violence right in front of. He was filming I think it was his friend. They shot the friend's window. I mean, it's just getting out of hand, and right now people don't know what to do. A lot of people are moving, but they don't know where to move.
Well, you can't escape. You can't go into a big city because the inner cities, the crime has gotten out of hand. We need to get back to the basics. We need to go back to the fundamentals of what got our country going. We weren't perfect, but we were able to overcome certain things.
By all means,
we overcame slavery. We overcame the hate there. We've come a long way for women's rights. We are, but we need not to repeat issues again, and we need not to ignore problems that are out here. Okay? You got 14, 15, 16-year-old kids committing major crimes. Okay? So we got to get to the point of what are we going to do? Let's face the nation here. What are we going to do? These 14, 15, 16-year-old kids are committing crimes. But there's victims of these crimes. And that's where we forgot. We're worried about, can we get these kids to understand they did wrong? When you took a life, you destroyed your opportunity as the criminal that did it, but more than that, you've affected the life of a family. It could have been a father, a mother, a child. You're destroying part of a family. The victims are the ones that are being destroyed too, and we're kind of forgetting that. Every time a hideous crime is committed, we're talking about, oh, we got to help them get better. We got to understand, and we got to send counselors out. You know what? If you're 15 years old and you pulled that trigger, then you better pay the price for pulling that trigger. Sorry, buddy. Enough is enough.
There's consequences to everything.
Consequences to everything, So, you need to realize that. I'm deadly afraid to go anywhere unless it's a well-lit place just to pull in to get gas.
Mm-hmm.
Because you pull into a little gas station to try to support a small mom and pop, and you take a chance of being robbed, shot, hijacked, etc., beat up, And then if you take out your gun and you shoot 3 or 4 of them, it's abuse.
No, they can sue you.
It's
Worse.
abuse. Yeah, it's abuse, and this is where it's getting pathetic. I legally go purchase my gun. You take my gun away or the gun away from legal people that have it, the criminals are gonna be more empowered to do whatever they want. You think it's bad now? Take the guns away from people.
I'll become like the Wild West.
It ain't gonna be the Wild West. It's gonna be the criminals having everything and the people having nothing. So we need to get our act together. November 3rd, it's important that we vote.
Well, listen, not only gun violence is increasing, but also you have theft, you have robberies, you have burglaries.
Yeah.
It's all increased. Since 2021 to 2022, everything has increased.
Everything. Halloween's coming up, and I'm scared shit to hope that we don't get a bunch of statistics where children are being killed by fentanyl that looks like candy.
That's right. They did that last year.
It's pathetic what's happening out here, and both parties know that it's a crime, but the Democratic Party is... I put them in that basket of pathetic people. That the Democrat is in a basket of pathetic people, like I'm in a basket of deplorable, but I would rather be a deplorable than a pathetic person who has no value.
Well, the fentanyl is just getting out of hand. I mean, the fentanyl, just going through Kensington and Allegheny and certain spots in certain areas, it's getting crazy. Here we have an article that says, enough fentanyl has been seized since last year to kill every man, woman, and child in the United States several times over.
Yes, but there's not a crisis on the border. This is what's sick about what's going on. This is what I'm talking about with this basket of people who don't get it. Now you got Biden who wants to free everybody and is giving them the rights to get out of jail in the federal government who were in there for marijuana. First of all, let me tell you something. You don't go to the federal government jail for a joint. Somebody tell the vice president to stop smoking because she must be smoking what she's talking about. Okay? You don't go to jail for smoking a joint. When you go to the federal government, there's other things attached to it. You got busted with a gun, you got busted with accessories, there's other drugs involved, or you're a criminal with some kind of a criminal history in the warrant. Okay? You do not go to the federal government for getting busted for a joint. That is a political stunt from Bozo Biden and his fearless vice president Kamala Harris. Okay? Let's face it. All right? That woman really looks like she's smoking something. She really does. Sometimes when she speaks, you got to wonder, did she smoke a blunt before she went out? But that's where we are. That's going to take a break now, and we'll be back in a few minutes to discuss a couple more things. And we're going to show you quickly how the government lies to you and why you need to make November so important. So hang on there. Come back. Let's look at this other piece we got to do, and God bless you.
Hey parents, kids like us have a problem, and it's one that you can help solve.
But most parents aren't even aware the problem exists.
Here's the issue. Most schools today aren't teaching young kids some really important concepts, like how the economy works, or what our rights are, or the definition of true laws.
Back before you were born, schools often taught the principles of a free society.
But not anymore. That's why our parents have us read
The
Tuttle Twins. These books teach children about economic and civic truths that we need to learn, and there's nothing else like them in the world.
Each book covers a different topic, helping us learn how the world really works.
For example, these books teach kids things like how the free market is the key to prosperity, the history of the money we use, what our rights are and why we should protect them, how kids can be entrepreneurs.
I definitely want to be my own boss someday, and these books will help.
Kids like us absolutely love these books. Maybe because they don't treat us like little children. Instead, they help us learn important ideas and develop critical thinking skills.
Chances are your kids are missing out on learning these things, especially in a way that's fun and enjoyable for the whole family.
And even better, when you buy this set, you also get the awesome activity workbooks for free.
Now listen, there are a lot of crazy ideas out there, and you need to prepare your kids.
Yeah, if you want to raise a free thinker, you're gonna need something that teaches about freedom.
So purchase your books now.
But be careful, your kids will learn ideas that many adults don't even understand.
It makes for some really interesting dinner conversations. Those kids are cute, but I bet yours are cuter.
And imagine how much they'll enjoy the books. So what are you waiting for? Click the link and grab your set.
Welcome back, everyone, to the second half of the today's episode, Freedom, Not Tyranny. I'm your host, David Torres. I just want to go over real quick because we're going to get more in depth in this. We're going to get more deeper into the understanding of how we're meaning the show. But I want to just give you a little idea of how the government just lies to you. They manipulate, and this goes on both sides. This goes on. They both play their games, and they both do their things. But look at the obvious here. We're going to talk about the gasoline crisis, right? Now, we all know when Bimbo Biden went into office, one of the first things he did was shut off the gasoline pipeline, all right? And then he stopped and made it hard for people to start generating the fossil fuels and natural gas, etc., out of our country alone. When we were totally independent, we have more fossil fuel and we have more coal and we have more gas than we need. Okay, but he chose to go the other way, and then it makes you wonder, why is he doing this? We know that when it comes to Ukraine, the Biden family have had their hands in the cookie jar for a long time. And we know there's a lot of ugliness going on there. We know that Biden himself has said at one point when they were supposed to get funds that until they stopped the investigation on Hunter Biden, he wasn't going to release some money that the taxpayers and Congress allocated to them. But nobody says anything about that. There's something going on there that's a little deeper than what's happening, although we cannot sit back and watch what Russia's doing. But we're spending a lot of money, and if we simply took one of them billions of dollars and put it on our border, put a freeze on our border, we can do a lot more. Straighten out the immigration issue once and for all, and then make it easier for more people to come in to our country who want to better their lives and an opportunity to get ahead. We can do that. We're still a great nation. We just have to become responsible again. And it starts on November. But let me give you an example of how they lie. If Danny can put up, I don't know if he could zoom in on this a little bit more for you.
Unfortunately, I can't.
But you got two sides if you look at it, okay? And this is the way they manipulate it. You see the first black box.
Which is mode. $3.29
Okay.
on October 5th
And
and
the
6th.
other side is actual.
And it's $3.79 on October 3rd and 9th.
When the government doesn't want you to know and wants to flip around ideas, they go to this mold statistics. And mold statistics gives you the number of the lowest end of everything, not the actual average across the country. And they'll give you a report saying, look how much gas has dropped, $3.29. First of all, we all know it went up from when he took office. Second of all, he's using the reserves. He's putting us at risk that if something happens in this country dramatically or we need to defend it, we won't be able to because he's using up our reserves, our national reserves, which is for emergencies, which is also for the military. He's using it up. Okay? That puts us at risk. It puts our country at risk. So they use this mold one to give you this information. So they're not really lying to you. They're not just telling you the whole truth. They're going to give you a statistic, but it's at the other end. But if they were to say national average is 379, now you know you're going to get pissed off.
Well,
That's where.
Actually, today it's gone up even more.
Yes.
So I'll put
Yes.
that up.
392 is a national average today. And this is where when they report, they say, well, he did so much, he's doing so much, and what is it that famous saying? It's on top of his head. Well, I wouldn't do anything from the top of Biden's head because the man's shaking hands with spirits.
Well, look at him when he's having an interview with somebody. The way he speaks.
Yeah.
You can't hardly understand him.
It's bad. So I would tell you that this is some of the examples that we're going to start to give you. But 28 days away, start following Freedom Not Tyranny. Start going on Rumble. Look up Freedom Not Tyranny so you could follow what upcoming topics and events are going to be upcoming, because we're going to be hitting these politicians pretty hard. And then you Hispanics that are out there, we cannot let them come into our community, use our votes, and lie to us anymore. The Democrats or the Republicans. We need to hold them to what they say and what benefits our community, our schools, our children, our churches.
Well, we're like the stepchild. They only come when they need us.
Yeah. Only when they need us. And right now, they need us. So we need to get on top of them, and we need not to accept things just because they say it. We know that the Republican Party has ignored the Hispanic community for a long time. We need to stop them from doing this anymore. politicians. I know I spoke to Dr. Oz. I know where his heart's at. I believe him. And in the future, I'm going to give you a little more information about Dr. Oz. But when it comes to Mastriano, when it comes to any of the other politicians, we need to make sure that we hold all of them accountable, Democrat and Republican. What is it, the truth that's happening? And you're going to see that if you start following Freedom Not Tyranny. Go to Rumble, Freedom Not Tyranny, your host, David Torres, and you're going to be following me on my Facebook page, follow me on Freedom Not Tyranny, and you're going to see, as we progress closer to November's election, what each political person believes in, okay? Take care. God bless. Love you guys. Hello and welcome everyone to Freedom Not Tyranny. I'm your host, David Torres. This is a show about you, about your rights, your freedom. A different show. A show about big government versus little government. A show about your Second Amendment rights. A show about your freedom, your rights to vote. A show that involves how to keep yourself independent. Your rights to do what you feel is necessary for you and your family. This is what this show is all about. I hope you enjoy it. Freedom, not tyranny.